a guy that understands basketball. We've been talking a little bracketology with him. Jerry, finally, welcome back to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I hope you're doing well.
Hi, thanks. How are you guys doing?
Good. It's been like forever since we last talked with you about Alabama and a tournament chance, a chance to go dancing.
Yeah, it's a better team this year for sure. There's still issues, but it's definitely a better team this year.
Yeah, let me just step back for just a minute. How good of a job do you think Avery Johnson has done here in Tuscaloosa of getting this program re-energized and engaged with college basketball?
Yeah, well, it's certainly it's been, building, and this year is another step in the right direction towards ultimately what they want to do. But I think he's done a good job. It's a program that's on the rise right now for sure.
Let me ask you, just looking at Alabama right now, what do you think they need to do to make sure they get an invitation to the upcoming NCAA tournament?
Well, mostly it's just be consistent and consistently good, obviously. If you go back 1 to 7 games, it's win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. They beat a good team and lose to a bad one, or lose a game that they should win. Beat somebody they shouldn't and win a game, or win a game they shouldn't and lose a game they should win. So it's really been that lack of consistency. This is a team with 6 Quadrant 1 wins and 6 losses out of 9 outside of Quadrant 1. So that makes them a hard team to figure out. They haven't been very good on the road, although they did win at Florida. That's huge. But their top 5 wins are all at home. So, this is a team that needs to figure out how to bring the same intensity regardless of the opponent. And I think once they do that, they can be pretty dangerous. But, we're now into mid-February, and we're not seeing it yet.
Does that just come with youth?
That's part of youth, for sure. Yeah, that's one thing that I think when you've been a star player in high school and you can kind of have your way in high school, then you get into the rigors of a major conference like the SEC, and you bringing that every night is a little bit different against a much higher level of competition. You're not going to have your own way all the time, and it's not easy for younger players to figure that out right away.
So as you look at the SEC, how much has the SEC taken a step forward?
Oh, it's been great. At the top to bottom in this league is so much better than it's been in recent years. In fact, that just, you think of the last 3 or 4 years, where you're wondering, are they going to get even 4 teams in the tournament? Well, now they could have 8. They could do as well as any of the last, couple of years combined this year, because the strength of maybe they don't have an elite team, a team that you look at and think, oh yeah, that's a Final Four team, but they have much greater depth than they've had in recent years. And that has certainly shown in non-conference play, which is where you prove it. And I think it's shown in the league too.
Jerry, let me ask you, in these final couple of games, obviously they need to take care of business, but going back to Alabama, this week they've got LSU tomorrow night, very winnable game. But then you got to go to Rupp and you got to go to Auburn back-to-back, SEC road.
You got A&M coming up on the road too.
In the end of the season, sure. Let me ask you, is this a team? Let me just kind of paint a scenario. Let's say they take care of business, they beat LSU, they lose to Kentucky, they lose to Auburn, they come back, they've got Arkansas at home, Florida at home, Texas A&M to finish up the season. Let's say they split it. They win the games at home, lose the games on the road. How nervous would they be, and what would they need to do in the SEC tournament?
Well, I can't answer that question because it doesn't depend on Alabama.
Sure.
When you're a bubble team, you are at the mercy of what's going on in other places and what other teams are doing. So just win at home finish, we already know this team can win at home. So to me, that doesn't move the needle for them much at all. Even though one of those teams you're beating is Florida, is a pretty good team, and Arkansas is also a good team, just winning at home doesn't do much for Alabama. They need to find a way to win one of those road games to really make an impression and feel good about themselves entering the SEC tournament. But as to, if they just win the home games, I don't know. I don't know for sure what kind of position they're going to be in, but they're a bottom half of the bracket team more than likely.
Jerry, is there one team that you think really hurts Alabama's resume as far as RPI? One loss that really
Minnesota.
Okay, 89-84.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Mississippi, Georgia, Texas, UCF, all 6 of them. Now, Minnesota, I think, was better. I mean, it was good Minnesota when Alabama played them, so I don't think that one is going to look as negatively in the mind of the committee as it shows on paper, because Minnesota's had some significant roster issues since early November when they were, preseason top 25 team. I don't think they were ever as good as that ranking, but they certainly aren't as bad, or weren't as bad as they are now. Now they can barely dribble and chew gum at the same time. But, Texas at home, UCF at home, Georgia, Mississippi, Vanderbilt, those are not tournament teams. They lost them all on the road. I mean, it's a team that has not played well on the road, but that's 6 losses to teams that may not make the tournament, and Texas we'll see about. But it's that's a lot. That's a number you don't want to add to at this point.
Bracketology, CBSSports.com. Jerry Palm right now with us. Let me ask you, walk through your number 1 seeds right now as we look at there on CBSSports.com right now going into this final couple of weeks of the regular season.
Well, the ones that I currently have on my site are the ones the committee gave us on Sunday when they did their reveal of their top 16. So I'm trying to predict what the committee is going to do. So naturally, when they tell me what they would do, I use that. And that Virginia is the overall number 1, followed by Villanova, Xavier, and Purdue. And I was close to that the day before. I actually had Michigan State jumping Purdue after their win on Saturday night, but the committee stuck with the Boilermakers.
Jerry, is there one team that you think is that would be your pick? And I know we're on February the 12th, and we're still plenty of time to – but, I mean, is there one team that you just fall in love with the way they play the game of basketball and may have a chance to cut down the nets at the end of the season?
Well, if I'm going to go by the bracket, the 16 teams that the committee gave us in the regions that they gave us, I thought they gave up Purdue a pretty good draw. But it's and I have to set out right front, I'm a Boilermaker. So, there's some of my bias could be coming out here. But Purdue is a team that's got size and shooters. In fact, their big man, Isaac Haas, is from Oaks Bluff, Alabama. But experience. They start 4 seniors. They play well on both ends of the floor. Villanova, Virginia, Purdue, all 3 of those teams are going to be really tough outs because they can play you so well on both ends of the floor. Purdue is a really difficult team to defend because you kind of have to pick your poison. Xavier, the 4th number 1 seed, is having an outstanding season and flying under everybody's radar. I wouldn't overlook them either. Those 4 number 1 seeds are all really good. Outside that group, Duke, Michigan State, and Arizona are probably the most talented teams in the top 16 the committee gave us. None of those teams are number 1 seeds.
Jerry, what do you think the highest seed Alabama could play their way into? Like what do you think? I mean, if they have some success, what do you think would be the highest spot that they could play to? What's the ceiling?
If they were to run the table against this schedule, they're a top 25 team. So you're talking 5, 6, maybe even 4, depending on what other teams do. But they haven't shown us that they're capable of that.
And that's so basically what you're saying is put the dancing shoes, shot them up, but don't put them on yet. Just have them ready for March, right? I mean, you got to remember
I think it's appropriate to make sure that they're in good working order just in case.
Let me ask you about Auburn, and I know we don't get a lot of love here being in Tuscaloosa, but how surprised are you about the Auburn Tigers in the 2017-2018 season they've had?
Very, because this is a program that had the FBI on their doorstep with a month to go before the season started. They lost an assistant coach. They lost 2 highly regarded recruits. From a team that was picked to finish kind of in the middle of the pack anyway, before all of that happened, there was a very good chance their head coach would not last through November. And here they are, 22-3, something like that, and leading the SEC and having an outstanding season. And they have got to be probably the surprise team in college basketball, if it's not another SEC team, Tennessee, which was picked to be 13th in the league, and the committee has just ranked them 13th overall.
What do you think we've heard the rest of this FBI stuff? Is this stuff going to resurface after the season?
Yes. Well, I don't know about after the season. It could happen any time, whenever they're ready to do it. Now, I understand that the investigation had a couple of hiccups in the last couple of weeks, but I would not expect that it is done, that they are done with this at all.
You think this could cost some more college basketball coaches their job?
Yeah, I don't think we're necessarily done with that yet, and we may not be done with it just with who we hurt. Yeah, I don't think that story. The thing is, when the feds, when the NCAA controls a story, the process is a little bit more open. You get leaks and stuff like that. When the FBI controls the story, you don't know anything until basically there's arrest being made. So it's very tight-lipped. But I wouldn't assume that just because we haven't heard anything in 5 months doesn't mean it's gone away. Yeah,
but just by watching CNN and Fox News, looks like the FBI's got a lot of problems on their other hands, right? I mean, they're kind of with politics and all that. I mean, they seem to be a little preoccupied.
The FBI is an enormous organization that can handle multiple investigations at the same time.
Sure.
So none of that stuff has any impact on what's going on with the NCAA.
I got you. CBSSports.com, Jerry Palm. Hey, listen, we're just glad to be talking about the possibility of going dancing. So we're excited here in Tuscaloosa. We appreciate you making us part of your afternoon. Thank you again, Jerry.
All right, take care.